박차를 가하고 있음을 알린 바 있습니다. 블리자드의 신작은 행사 개막일인 21일 잠시 후 3분 뒤에 진행되며 블리자드 엔터테인먼트 프레젠트 섹션을 통해 그 베일을 벗게 됩니다. 그리고 새벽 1시에는 잠시 후 새벽 1시에는 캡콤의 신작 2종이 열린다고 합니다. 네, 대중 앞에 아직 공개된 적이 없는 새로운 작품 2종이 박스 현장에서 데뷔 무대를 갔습니다. 그리고 NC소프트 것도 있네. 이거 뭐야? 와일드스타 이거 결국에는 게임으로 나오는 거야 이거? 이거 영상으로는 되게 잘 만들지 않았어요? 약간 좀 디즈니 느낌 나게 이거 영상 본 것 같은데 내가 어디서 한번. 그리고 유비소프트는 현장에서 새로운 신작 어쌔신 크리드 4를 출품합니다. 오, 그리고 스프린터 셀 블랙리스트의 새로운 데모 버전이 공개되며 기대작으로 손꼽히고 있는 와치독의 신규 컨텐츠에 대한 프레젠테이션이 진행될 예정입니다. 많이 나오네. 그리고 다운로드 전용 게임인 스파르타쿠스 레전드와 콜 오브 후아레즈 건슬링거 시연 버전이 부스에 전시가 되고, 그리고 스퀘어 에닉스도 파이널 판타지 14랑 뭐 여러가지 게임들, 그리고 올해 기대작 중 하나로 손꼽히고 있는 바이오쇼크 인피니티에 대한 궁금증을 해소할 수 있는 자리도 마련되었습니다. 이건 내일이구나. 데이즈? 데이즈에 대한 개발 중인 데이즈에 대한 개발진과의 토론. 난 공개인 줄 알았어. 뭐 토론인 줄 알았네. 네, 몇 시냐고요? 11시다 이제. 한다. 블리자드 바로 떴다. 오호! 소리 키고 합니다.
Alright, good morning.
안녕하세요. 좋은 아침입니다. 좋습니다.
Thank you guys a lot for coming.
여기에 와주신 분들에게 감사의 인사를 드리면서
ever since we started BlizzCon, we've been doing almost all of our announcements there. So this feels a little more old school for me, which I think is really appropriate considering what I brought you guys here to see today. So I want to talk real quick about just some of our history and how Blizzard has grown over time. So these are some of the different games that we've worked on over the last 10 plus years, and below that is the amount of developers it took to make each of those games. The World of Warcraft one's a little deceptive because that's what we launched the game with, and I think now the World of Warcraft team has 135 developers. So, I think we've really made our reputation as kind of this, almost the game industry version of the summer blockbuster company where we just make bigger and bigger and bigger games. But, something that we feel like there's a lot of games we haven't had an opportunity to make because we're always kind of shooting for these super huge epic games. So we wanted to do something a little bit different just within the studio, and we created a new team. And we have really clever names for our teams. We call them Team 1, Team 2, Team 3, Team 4. And each of those game teams, have been attached to either, StarCraft 2 or Diablo 3 or World of Warcraft. And we wanted to make a new team. So I'm sure you guys can guess what we called the team. Team 5. So Team 5 is very, very different than the 4 previous dev teams that we've created at Blizzard. it's only 15 developers, which is smaller even than that StarCraft number which I showed you guys. And we really wanted an old school team of scrappy and versatile developers that were very multi-talented and could do different disciplines. And we wanted to have a team that could experiment more, doesn't necessarily have to rely on building brand new technology, and really try to just come up with a different style of games. So then the question was, if we had a team like this of 15 developers, what is the game that we would make? And we had to really think about that a lot because we want to make a game that was really small, a little bit different than we've done in the past, and not something that we'd have to spend 5+ years developing.
이거 불의 도타 얘기 아니야?
So what I'm going to show you guys here is the introduction movie for the next game that we're releasing.
올스타즈네.
It is said that wars are only won upon the anvil of honor.
Others believe victory requires strategy and a mastery of power.
War is deception, a game played best from the shadows. Only strength and raw power can assure total dominance.
But of course, you could forget all that and just have fun!
TCG는 원래 발표 예정에 되어 있었어요.
Heroes of Warcraft.
히어로즈 오브 워크래프트? 설마 이게?
So, Hearthstone. That is, and we're setting it in the Warcraft
이게
universe.
다가 아니겠지?
And obviously, what it is a strategy game based on it's a collectible card game, and you'll be able to play as World of Warcraft classes. And it's our first free-to-play game, which has been something we wanted to really experiment with a while. We've seen how the industry has really changed, and there's lots more free-to-play games. And we thought, here's this great opportunity to really do something a little bit different for us and make a game that has been really fun internally to play. So I guess the first question that a lot of people ask, especially when we first tell people internally what we're working on, is why a collectible card game? And the reason is that I think a lot of people at Blizzard have really played collectible card games for a really long time. A lot of us, like I remember playing Magic the Gathering when I first started at Blizzard, and there was a huge crew of people that will always be playing it, and there's been so many card games since then. But really, I don't think there's been a lot of great translations to make digital or online card games. And that's something that Blizzard's always, I think, done really well, is look at something that is already a really fun game, but maybe it's a little bit hardcore, and how do we make it much more accessible and make it something that anyone would play, not just us hardcore CCG nerds. So the approach that we had was really, again, kind of the typical way that Blizzard approaches problems. Is we look at what's really awesome about the genre, what's really awesome about this type of game, but what are the reasons why kind of normal people or other people
블리자드 TCG는 뭐 나올 거라 예상은 했지만
rules are usually really complex. It's very hard to explain to
someone. 이걸로 끝나는 거 아니겠지? 이건 그냥 맛배기겠지. 앞에 그냥
Warcraft trading card game or Magic the Gathering and try to explain it to somebody that isn't already into it. There's just all these rules you have to explain, and it's usually really difficult. So we really wanted to approach that and make it much more intuitive. If you look at, hopefully a lot of you guys have seen what we've done like World of Warcraft compared to the previous MMO games that are out there, and we really want to do the same thing with Hearthstone and make it really that online game that's really simple and intuitive to play.
타이탄이나
And then
아니면은
we also want to make it really exciting to watch.
블리자드 올스타.
If you look at a lot of the CCGs that have made it into an online digital form, they still look like card games. They don't have interesting special effects. They're not necessarily fun to watch. They're not as exciting to watch players go back and forth. And that was something that we thought was incredibly important to us. So I'm now going to show you kind of a demonstration video of just the beginning of one of the games. So you can kind of see a lot of what I'm talking about and how this isn't just a card game you might have seen in the past, from other makers. So you can see like right away that we're using 3D technology so that it's not just a flat 2D board, And the board itself is animated, and we really want to bring in a lot of the charm of the Warcraft universe. And there's your Murloc.
멀록 카드.
So you can see down at the bottom of the screen is Jaina. She's a mage. And up the top of the screen is Garrosh, who's a warrior. And we really want the game, for World of Warcraft players, we want the game to be really intuitive. So if you come to this game and you already are used to playing a mage, you have mage creatures, you have mage spells, and you can very quickly and intuitively understand how to play the game. And there's the warrior who pulls out a big weapon, and now the warrior himself can go and attack. And you can see it's just a lot more dynamic game than I think what a lot of the card games out there are doing.
I will crush you.
And there at the end was, when you play multiplayer, players will actually be able to do verbal emotes to each other. So you can kind of like taunt each other or tell each other they're doing a good job. All right, so now I want to talk about, what is a collectible card game all about? Well, it's about collecting cards. So we've really put a lot of time and effort into creating a really cool and interesting card collection that's really fun to actually collect and build decks with. So in the initial release, there's going to be over 300 cards in the collection. And the way that you'll get new cards is through getting booster packs.
야, 이거 어쩔
So when you
거야.
get a pack, it's going to have 5 cards in it. And the way you can either earn packs through playing the game, or you'll also be able to buy packs, which is part of our free-to-play model. We haven't decided yet, the exact amount of money that it's going to be per
관중들
pack, but it's going to be
표정 봐.
somewhere around $1 is what we're guessing. That's kind of what we're testing right now, and then we'll probably be fine-tuning that throughout like the alpha and the beta. But we also want to make sure that players can earn packs. So even if you've,
이게 꿈일 거야.
if you're someone that doesn't want to spend any money on the game, it'll take you much longer to build your collection, but you'll still be able to just, week by week, earn more and more packs and add to your collection. And then there's obviously going to be many
딱
different types of
마지막에 이런
cards.
멘트.
So there'll be different rarities.
이게
There'll be,
끝인 줄 알았죠?
basic and
하나
expert
더
cards,
있습니다라고
and
딱
within
한
kind of the expert set,
하면 이거
there's going to be
반전인데.
commons and rares and epics and legendary cards. Kind of going with the same sort of verbiage that we use in the World of Warcraft with the item system. So one of the challenges that I think you have when you start creating a collectible card game and you want to do it online is you want to capture how fun it is to open a new pack. I think, if you have a physical card game, that's a lot of the fun. You go down to the hobby store and you're excited to get that new pack and you rip it open. You kind of go card by card to look at each one and see, did you get a lot of cards you already had? Did you get that card you were really hoping for? And then you rip into the next pack. And we wanted to capture that as much as possible with opening a pack digitally. So the team has really spent quite a bit of time with how to do that, and I'll show you kind of what it looks like to do that within Hearthstone itself. So it's obviously a lot more dynamic, and even before you turn a card over, it will glow underlit if it's going to be a rare or legendary or epic.
Legendary.
So you can see, taking this thing into the digital realm, we can do kind of some fun stuff that you can't really do in real life. We can really celebrate that fact when you get a legendary card or an epic card. And we also do fun stuff too. So
이게
people are a
뭐냐?
little bit superstitious. So you
카드
can see the
크래프팅,
underlining
카드 제작.
of when it is a rare card or an epic card, and decide, do you want to open that card right away, or do you want to do the other cards first? And just add a lot more kind of ceremony to the opening a pack. All right, so we also added this concept of card crafting. So card crafting is really the best way to fill out the rest of your collection, or if there's one specific card that you're looking for, to get that one card. Because the way that the game itself works is that you play as a hero. So you pick a hero like a mage or a hunter, and then oftentimes,
이게 다
as you're kind of
꿈이었으면
building
좋겠어.
out your deck, you'll have a strategy where you want a very specific card that you want to fill out your deck with, and this is where the crafting system really comes in. So with the crafting system, again, something that's really common in collectible card games is you'll get a very large collection, but just because of the randomness of opening in packs, you'll often get a lot of duplicates, or you might get cards for a class that you're not as interested in because you're really focusing on your hunter class. So with crafting, what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to disenchant all those cards that you're not interested in and duplicates that you're not interested in, and then you'll get arcane dust, which then you can accumulate and then pick the exact card that you want to build and craft that card. So I'm going to show you kind of quickly a video of how that looks within the game.
이거 핸드폰 게임 같은데? 밀리언 아서처럼? 데스윙 떴다.
So I think that's a really good example of a player that really wanted to nuke a lot of his collection so that he could build Deathwing, which is one of the most powerful cards in the game right now. So then after you've collected a bunch of cards, opened a bunch of packs, maybe you've crafted a few of the cards that you're really excited and interested in, well, now you got to build a deck, which is, again, a lot of the fun of these sorts of games. But it's very challenging, I think, trying to go from that starting a game and understanding how to play to how to build an interesting deck. So that was another design problem that we really
블리자드 올스타만 공개하면 모든 걸 용서하겠어.
Create decks. Because there's just, again, a lot of rule complexity. So one of the things that we have in the game is, when you go to deck building, there's a suggest a card mode. So you can go through and there's kind of a tutorial mode that will go through and suggest different cards and help you build out a deck. Make sure you have low mana cards, make sure you have creatures, make sure you have class specific abilities, but still give you choice within that, but just narrows that choice down so it's a lot easier to grasp and build a pretty interesting deck until you're ready to really build a deck completely from scratch. And then there's also like tools to evaluate your deck, where it kind of shows you as you're building your deck how many 4 mana cards you have, how many 5 mana cards. So it just really tries to help you evaluate your deck on the fly and make good decisions. And then the last thing that we have in there is you can actually just have the game itself create a deck for you. So you can
이거
just
만들라고
decide that you want to
지시한
create a hunter
사람이
deck
대체
or a
누구야?
mage deck, and then the game will create a deck based on the card collection you have, which is often really useful early on when you're collecting packs and you just added a bunch of expert cards or you opened 3 more packs and you just want the game to kind of insert a lot of those cards into your deck. Oftentimes it will. And then the other thing that's really cool is that all three ways of creating a deck you can combine really at the same time, and I think that'll be a really common way for people to create their decks. And what this video is going to show is exactly that. So at the beginning, the person's picking their own cards. So they're going to go through and pick their class, which is a rogue. And then they're going to initially just pick some of the cards they want to make sure that's in their deck. So they're going to pick some higher end abilities for the rogue with higher mana costs. And then once they get those abilities in the deck, then they're going to go into kind of suggest a card mode. So now you can see they decide to start getting cards suggested to them, which now you'll just kind of get
야, 블리자드 왜 이래? 갑자기
class specific cards.
얘네 왜 이래? 갑자기?
Different cards that are class specific. Now it's looking for cards that are a little bit cheaper because it realized that the deck, is really lacking those low mana cards that you need at the beginning of a game. And now they just want to complete the rest of the deck, and the second half of the deck just gets completed automatically by the AI. And then you can see the tool, and then went ahead and named the deck the Mulan Rogue.
아니 TCG 게임류가 많은데 또 뭐하러 만들었어 이거?
Alright, but the core of the game is really about playing the game itself. And this is the area that we just want to make it a really fun and dynamic game. And it's focused primarily on just on one-on-one. So you'll go into the game, and it uses BattleNet matchmaking, which has been something we've really been evolving for years and years now. And I think the matchmaking system is really great and should really help out a lot for novice players to end up playing against novice players. And then you can duel online each week. We have a whole medal ranking system.
뭐야 랭킹도 있네 이거? 챌린저, 다이아, 골드 리그, 브론즈, 실버.
So it should be a fun system, kind of week to week. You re-earn your medals, you re-earn booster packs, and that kind of validates the amount of time that you've been playing the game. And then the thing that we really wanted to attack with this was to keep it really simple,
1대1의
but still have it
포커스를
have lots of
두었고
strategies and be very
배틀넷 기반의
so what the team has
매치
really done a great
메이킹.
job with is look at all those mechanics that you'd see in your typical CCG or let's say in the World of Warcraft TCG and pull out all those really complex rules or weird rules that maybe make sense when you're just playing a hobbyist game face to face, but when you really want to do a mass market online game, it doesn't make as much sense. But that doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice deep strategy. So, what I want to show you guys next is a shoutcasted game. So, one of the things that we did when we were showing this at Blizzard was we got some of the more expert players to play games against each other, and then we do a shoutcast, kind of like you would see for StarCraft 2 or like a World of Warcraft arena match that we've done at BlizzCon. And I think when you have the shoutcast, it really kind of shows how much depth and strategy and how exciting a game can be. So I'd like to welcome to the stage my lovely assistant, Ben Brode, who's going to be our shoutcaster. All right, are you ready, Ben?
I'm super ready.
All right, here we go.
뭐?
So
Here we
excited
go?
to show you guys this. It's boom. Fireside duels.
아니구나.
Gul'dan versus Malfurion.
These are our heroes for today's match. On the bottom,
Soul shall be mine.
Gul'dan the Warlock, piloted by John Briggs from our quality assurance team, and on the top, Malfurion the Stormrage, the Druid, piloted by Dan Nguyen from our quality assurance team. And they're getting their starting hands ready, getting ready for the match. And the match has begun!
My greetings.
Hell yeah. All right, the players are emoting at each other, excited for the game.
I greet you.
In the Warlock player, each player starts with 1 mana. You can see that in the bottom right corner for the Warlock and the top right corner near the water wheel for the Druid. And the Warlock uses his 1 mana to play. Goldshire Footman is a defensive minion. It's got taunt. That means if the Druid wants to attack, he has to attack the Goldshire Footman first. And the Druid plays a pint-sized summoner. It helps him summon creatures that
다른
cost
게임
more
발표하는
mana.
거나 봐야겠다.
And that could be a problem if for the Warlock, and so he wants to use Chaos Bolt here to get rid of it quickly. He could have used the Chaos Bolt on a demon to infuse it with Chaos Energy and make it stronger, but it looks like he really wanted to get that summoner out of the way.
캡콤 발표하는 거나
He gets an
봐야지.
extra mana crystal. Now this is interesting. It means that the Druid is probably playing more for a late game strategy. Maybe he's got some stronger minions in his deck. He's going to play later. He just wants to
말하는 분
survive
목소리는
the
굉장히
mid-game
지금
to get
다이나믹한데?
that place where he's built this deck to really take advantage of. So now the Warlock knows that. He's going to use this time to build his side of the board, get some minions out there. He plays a flesh-eating ghoul, which gets stronger every time a minion dies.
I got the best deals anywhere.
So now the Druid has a few more mana than the Warlock. He's got 5. The Warlock here has 4. And the Gadgets on Auctioneer lets him draw a card.
이 게임 한글판 언제 나오나?
So he's going to start getting more mana and more cards in his hand. The Warlock plays Sense Demons, which goes through his deck and gets 2 random minions, 2 random demons, and puts them into his hand. He drew the Voidwalker here, which is also defensive, a little bit better than the Goldshire Footman, but it's a Warlock-specific card, something only Warlocks can play with. And he deals some damage straight to that Druid. Now the Druid would really like to play a spell card here to draw a card, but he's got a lot of things to deal with. He plays Swipe. Deals enough damage to kill the flesh-eating ghoul before he can start eating corpses.
캡콤은 새벽 1시에 공개한대요.
And he uses his hero power to get 1 attack. His hero power costs 2 mana and you can use it every turn of the game. He finishes off the last minion with his Gadgets on Auctioneer. Oh, the Warlock just drew Lord Jaraxxus. Lord Jaraxxus is very powerful, but he costs 9 mana. If he can make it to turn 9, Jaraxxus can turn the game around by himself. If he can make it there. So he's looking at his hand, he's got some demons. Demons are very powerful for their mana cost, but they sometimes hurt you. They sometimes have a drawback, and this one destroys one of your own mana crystals when you play him. So now there's a huge mana discrepancy. The Druid has 6 mana, and the Warlock has 4, as he uses Chaos Bolt to make his fell demon a little stronger. That demon has taunt as well, so he can't attack anybody but that demon right now. He uses another swipe that draws him another card, deals 3 damage to the demon. Now he has 4 health left, so he can use his gadgets on Auctioneer to attack, but he might want to save it so he can draw more cards. Looks like he used it to attack and plays another pint-sized summoner. Now there's a much bigger mana discrepancy, especially with the pint-sized summoner, who makes the minions cheaper for the druid player. So as the warlock, he's really worried now about seeing some of these huge minions.
이런 게임류는 그냥 매직더 게더링 하나면 좋게.
His hero power to draw cards. You really don't want to let that druid start playing these huge minions that he may not be ready to deal with yet. Well, the druid has 8 mana, so he might start. He has enough to start playing something huge.
나는 그런 거 있죠.
He plays the beast. The beast
지금이라도 당장 이 판을 빨리 엎고 빨리 올스타즈 공개.
Down to 0 health. He's done for. He only has 27 health right now. But the beast has a drawback. Inside the belly of the beast is hidden a gnome, a Finkel Einhorn. So if you can kill the beast, he'll pop out and join your side. The warlock plays Siphon Soul, which just destroys a minion and rescues that gnome.
I've been inside that thing for months.
Welcome back, Finkel.
빨리 확장 그럼 디아블로스의 확장 팩이나 좀 보여줘.
He's got a minion on the table.
그거나 좀 보자. 아.
He still has way less mana than the druid, though. Oh, the druid plays Cenarius, who comes with 2 treants with taunt. So now the warlock can't even get it through to attack Cenarius or Malfurion, even with Finkel. And that's Hellfire, which deals 3 damage to everything. It clears away those 2 treants, but also hurts Finkel and the warlock. He doesn't really have anything that can go after Cenarius right now, which is troubling. He does play a Novice Engineer, kind of a weak creature, but it draws him a card.
아, 네이버 검색어에
A little bit better for the druid now. He's got a 5/5.
2위야. 이거 TCG 이거.
Only against this small Novice Engineer. They both have about the same number of cards. The druid still has a lot more mana.
TCG가 뭐냐고 이게.
Which heals
검색하고
his
있어.
druid. And now he's got two minions with 5 attack on the table. He seems to be going after the Novice Engineer. The Novice Engineer's not a great minion once it's on the table. He uses Wrath, which deals either 3 damage or 1 damage when you draw a card. He looks like he went for the 1 damage to draw a card. He wants to have a lot of cards in his hand. In case the game goes long, he wants to have options and not to run out of steam. All right, well, this doesn't look so good for the Warlock. He's running a little bit low on health. There's 2 minions with 5 attack on that side. So next turn he'll take 10 damage right there, taking him to 12. And he's looking at a Pit Lord. Demons sometimes hurt you. They're very powerful, but this one deals 7 damage when it enters the battlefield. So now he's at 15. He's going to take 5 more, then 5 more again. Next
야, 이걸 어떻게 하면 좋니?
plays a flesh-eating ghoul, which again gets stronger every time a minion dies. So it looks like the Warlock could get really low here. It's going to be down to 5, and if the Druid has a Starfire or any card that can deal 5 damage, I think he's realizing he's maybe made a mistake as he gets very low. The Druid pulls out a Wrath, deals 3 damage this time. All he needs to do is deal 2 more damage to the Warlock to win this game, and then we won't even get to see Jiraxis. He plays Nourish to draw some more cards. If any of these cards deals damage, he might be over. He uses his hero power to deal 1 more damage. Now the Warlock's at 1 health, and he doesn't have it. Well, that's great for the Warlock.
이거 한 판 끝나는데 얼마나 걸리는 거야 이거?
On the board. Let's see what happens here.
You face Jiraxis, Eridon, Lord of the Burning Legion.
Jiraxis kills the Warlock who summons him and takes his place. And then the ghoul gets a little stronger for eating the corpse of your old hero.
이거 15명에서 만들었다는데?
A new set of health. Now he's at 15 health. He can attack. He's got a new hero power as the ghoul keeps getting a little stronger now. This ghoul fared a little better than the last one. Power. This is much better for the Warlock. He's got way less cards, but he's got some minions on the battlefield.
아, 한글 떴어.
Drew plays Ragnaros the Fire Lord. Ragnaros can't attack normally, but at the end of his turn,
한글
he does
떴어.
damage randomly. There's just something on the side of the board. Oh, and he hits
한글
the Pit
떴어.
Lord. Well, the ghoul gets a little stronger at least. Now, the big problem for the Druid right
공짜
now
게임이야,
is
공짜 게임.
his hero power. Every turn of the game, he can use that hero power. to
베타
summon 6/6
벌써 할 수 있네.
So that could be
블리자드
actually
거기
the Druid
배틀넷
has
가면
more
있어요.
cards here as he plays the Succubus, which costs him to discard his Doomguard. That's unfortunate for Jiraxis. He uses that hero power.
이 게임은 망할
And I don't
거야.
think he's really got a way to kill
손할 리가 없어.
Ragnaros, unless he uses his Ghoul and his Soulfire to deal 4 damage to it. Looks like instead he keeps the pressure on. He's got the Druid pretty low. He's at 12 health right now. And he uses the Soulfire on Ragnaros, not killing it, so Ragnaros will get to strike again. Both players are getting a little bit low. They're at 12 health in the top and 14 health in the bottom. As the Druid plays Baron Geddon, a good friend of Ragnaros, actually. He healing touches himself to stay out of range. Now both Baron Geddon and Ragnaros will strike, dealing tons of damage to the opposing side. The Jiraxis is at 4 health right now. So if the Druid can draw just a Wrath, maybe if he hadn't used the Wrath on that Gnome earlier in the game, he might have won this game. Jiraxis feels it's time to get rid of the Ragnaros. The Ghoul's getting a little, he's only got 1 health left, but now he's got 10 attack after eating all those corpses. We see more Infernos. That's really going to get out of control.
하스스톤. 게임 이름은 하스스톤.
Jiraxis is still only in 4 health. The Druid just needs to draw 1 card that deals 3 damage and then uses hero power for the last damage. Another swipe maybe.
등록하자.
That Ghoul now has 10 attack and only 1 health. Another healing touch. This Druid trying to stay alive just long enough to draw something to deal just a couple of damage to Jiraxis. Here we have the Ancient of Lore. When you play the Ancient of Lore, you can choose to draw 2 cards or to restore 8 health. So he could have played that first, tried to draw a card that deals some damage to Jiraxis, but he wanted to play it safe and gain some health. As he kills the Ancient of Lore with that Infernal, the Ghoul getting a little bit stronger still. The Warlock threw Twisting Nether, which kills all minions, but he's got all the minions, so not a great draw for the Warlock. Now the Druid again at 6 health. If that card deals any amount of damage to the Jiraxis, this could be over.
공짜고. 이건 사양은 안 타겠네.
Priest of Loon healing some more, and then
똥컴도 될 것 같아.
Oh, he's gonna sacrifice himself just to kill the flesh-eating Ghoul. He's not going out like that. And that's it. Jiraxis has won.
터졌다. 빅토리. 윤장이네. 윤장 티어 2네.
So I think that probably gives you guys a good idea of how much strategy is in the game, and also, you know, because it's an online game, we can make up all kinds of cool abilities that you wouldn't be able to do in a physical card game. And I think, you know, we'll continue to kind of explore that space as we continue to make cool abilities in cards. So the big question is, of course, what can I play it on? And we are big PC stalwarts at Blizzard, so we're going to launch it on Windows and Mac. But probably one of the cool things that's also a little bit different is it's actually going to be playable on iPad.
아이패드에서 된대.
And we actually already have it internally playable on the iPad, so it's going to launch very soon after the PC and Mac version. All right, so when can I play it?
언제 탈 수 있냐?
No, really. So the beta is going to be out this summer.
여름?
The release is this year, and you guys can play it on the show floor today.
올해 안에 나오고 플레이는 지금부터 할 수 있고 베타는 여름?
iPad version today. So this is a big experiment for us to see whether or not we can actually announce a game and release it in the same year, which is something we would always love to do.
팍스에 오신 분들.
So the last thing I'm going to leave you guys with is we did interviewed a bunch of the team members to talk about kind of the making of this project and what it meant to some of the key guys on the team and those of us that are executives of the studio. And I think it's a really good summary of some of the things that I already told you guys about, but also kind of some of our thoughts about the project itself.
핸드폰도 된대. PC, 핸드폰, 아이패드 다 된대.
I think the release of Hearthstone is really important for Blizzard. At a broader level, it's kind of a step out of our comfort zone.
니놈이냐 만든 게?
It's not all that big far of a step. You know, it's a Warcraft game, but
아니야, 쟤?
it's being so accessible, right? And that's really exciting.
Previous to this, all of our games have been like 50-plus person teams and have been multi-year development cycles. And we really wanted to see, could we make a game that lived up to our Epic standards, but is much smaller in scope?
We're loosening up a little bit, and we're developing, you could say, at a smaller scale, but at the same level of quality, the same level of investment, the same level of passion.
And what we really wanted to prove to ourselves was that we could still kind of go back to that old garage programmer days of a small team accomplishing something really fun. So we started this team within Blizzard that we called Team 5.
15명이
and the whole mandate for the team was keep the team very small, and you have to really think of ways to develop a game that might be non-traditional within Blizzard's walls.
It was a team that was put together specifically for this title, and we have about 15 hardcore ninjas who kind of jumped on this.
We really want to get a team that were generals. They're almost like old school Blizzard that could wear a lot of different hats and not be as specialized as a lot of the bigger teams are by necessity.
Many of us that got our start at Blizzard in the glorious golden age back in the day, we all came up playing Magic the Gathering and Jihad and all sorts of card games when that scene was really blowing up. So I think there's something really fundamental about TCGs to our shop.
Anytime that we decide to make a game at Blizzard, it's because we're making a game that we want to play, that we think a lot of the Blizzard fans would also be excited to play.
We're busy tonight, but there's always a spot for one more. It's quick and easy to learn. Here, let me show you.
Hearthstone is a easy, accessible game where it's like playing as one of 9 heroes in the Warcraft universe, and it's essentially a collectible strategy game.
One of the most exciting things about Hearthstone is how easy it is to get in and play it. It's a game that within 5 minutes of jumping into the experience, you'll know exactly how to play, and you can be having fun in that time.
Your souls shall be mine! Victory or death!
If you're coming to Blizzard for the first time, this is a game that's for you. If you've been playing Blizzard games for a while now, whether you played World of Warcraft or you played Warcraft back in the day, I think you'll still sort of recognize a lot of the really cool spell effects, really cool class mechanics, things that you kind of really came to love in previous titles that we've released.
It's not only a really fun, gameplay in and of itself, but it just offers that window into the characters and the lands and the depth of what Warcraft is.
You can put together your deck, play a game, takes 10 minutes, and then you're out. Really fun.
Ah, this is my favorite way to play.
So the first of the 3 ways to play Hearthstone is play mode. And play mode is sort of our base way to play. You go online, you play against another randomly match-made player, and then you can earn medals or packs of cards by playing.
After you play games against opponents online, you'll see new card packs show up, and as you open them, you'll get new minions, new spells, and abilities that let you expand your overall collection and types of strategies you can play.
How you're building these cards that you're playing against other players with is in a collection manager where you have a huge collection of cards and you're building different cards. I'm putting weapons in, I'm putting abilities in, I'm putting different minions in, and I'm building a powerful deck that I can use to crush my opponent.
모바일 게임. 지금 안 돼요.
Now, we also have
여름이나 여름.
and this is where you go when you have some kind of cool, interesting deck ideas that you want to test out against the computer, or if you just feel like you need a little bit more time before you jump into the fray. And the idea here is you take whatever that deck is to play against a normal AI and kind of walk you through the paces of how to play very competitively. When you're ready for it, we also have an expert AI where the real challenge is waiting for you.
The third mode is called the Forge. And in the Forge, building the deck is half the fun. You start out being given a bunch of random cards, and you start choosing which of a set of 3 different cards you want to put in your deck, and you do that a bunch of times. And then once you've built the deck, you're matched against some other player who's also built a deck in the same way, so it's totally fair.
I cannot believe it! You and your deck are unstoppable!
One of the phrases that we've thrown around a lot is making games that are epic in quality, but not necessarily epic in scope, and that's exactly what Hearthstone is.
Fundamentally, most people think of epic as being really large. And I think what we want to do is make epic mean something different. Epic should mean an epic fun play experience that you want to play for a really long time. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the game itself has to have thousands and thousands of monsters and huge monolithic technology. It's like do something that's small in scope but epic in gameplay.
It's really where the world's going, and I like that we're getting in step with that, and we're taking risks on on kind of smaller products that have just a high degree of fun and imagination. I believe that people are going to get a big kick out of this product. It's got all the personality and quality of any of our big games, and I like us in this space.
Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft.
Job's done.
히어로즈 오브 워크래프트. 지금 부스로 가서 빨리 해보래.
So the last thing I'd leave you guys with is I think every time that I've told people about the game and explained it to them, there's been a certain amount of skepticism, and because we've told various teams within the company, and what's always happened has been really interesting. We always know that we're going to have a game of Blizzard that I think is going to be really exciting to people. When we have that moment internally where we have to tell our teams, you guys need to stop spending so much time playing Hearthstone.
WCG 공식 종목으로 나오는 거 아니야?
And with this game, it's really hit that. So I really encourage you guys to go out to the booth over the next couple days and play the game and see what you guys think for yourselves. So thank you guys for coming and listening to this, and hope you have fun playing the game.
뭐야? 아니야. 뭐야? 안 돼. 다른 게임.
Kind of burned through all the cool nerds when they asked me to do this, because they got Will Wheaton, they got Jaffe, and they're like, oh, I guess we'll finally go with Cliffy. I mean, I was honestly expecting to do like PAX Midwest in 2034 or something like this, and I mean, it means a lot for me to do this keynote. I mean, wait, story time. That's why we actually have the cozy fire.
저 천막이 내려지고 뭐가 뒤에.
Gather around, and when I decided I want to tell a story, I thought about everything that I've done and everything I've said in my life, and I decided that it's time to get personal. I want to tell you a personal story. Dun dun dun. And for me, nothing. You can't see the slides? Now imagine I'm showing you a slide of New England. Very picturesque, covered bridges and things like that. So now that that's in your head, you can Google image that, by the way. Nothing for me is more personal than New England, because guys, I grew up about 30 minutes away from here. It was, oh, we got some wicked retarded people in the crowd. Go to the Cumberland Farms and get some beer. It was a wonderful town called North Andover, and it was a great place, very near and dear to my heart, right there on Russet Lane. And it was really a fantastic American childhood, filled with kick the can, and there we go. Oh, isn't it lovely? I'm surprised nobody's set more video games here, by the way, but that's free to take. So I had a great childhood filled with paper routes, kick the can, and collecting all sorts of reptiles and amphibians. There was not a summer day I was not knee-deep in some disgustingly fetid swamp. It's amazing I did not get malaria or something like that. I love the idea of using my imagination from an early age. I mean, growing up in North Andover, I was fortunate enough to have a really large yard. And in that backyard, there was a clearing up on the hill. And in that clearing, somebody, for some reason, I have no idea why, had discarded like 9 to 10 old tires. And I decided every day before school during the warm months, clearly there's not a lot here, I would go and lift up the tires and look for snakes. And at half the time, I would find one, and I would take these snakes, and I would keep them as pets in the house. Usually the basement, mind you. But my mother really never knew about this. I never told her. The funny thing was, some of those snakes kind of escaped, and we never found them, but luckily nobody ever got bit. And thankfully, by the way, as a kid, I knew to actually do my homework to know which snakes were venomous and which ones were not.
얘기는 그만하고 뭐 좀 보여주지 이제.
So there it is. That's the actual satellite view of the house. I could lie and tell you we had a poor upbringing and I went uphill both ways in snow, but honestly, we did okay. We had a middle-class existence. My dad worked at Polaroid over in Cambridge. He actually worked on some of those holograms that you have in your license today. And I wonder if those tires are still up there in the clearing, and if the kid who lives there goes up there and looks around. And you can see how this kind of started connecting to my love of Zelda and hidden passages and what's in the box and that kind of sense of mystery that I get from video games. So honestly, Pax, I'm a dreamer. I really am. My wife can attest to the fact that I'm not a good sleeper. I'm a light sleeper. I never have slept well my entire life. When I was a child, I hated getting up at the crack of dawn to go to school. I remember nodding off in class and on the bus. It was really, until third period, I was completely useless. And I've always had these crazy dreams ever since I was a boy. Those of you who've done your homework and the history of the games I've done know I did an entire trilogy about that when I was a teenager. There it is. Yeah, look at those graphics. So this is a game called, obviously, Dare to Dream, which wound up being the name of Yanni's tour later, which is a weird sign.
게임 공개 안 하고 시간 끌 거야?
I knew the importance of branding and logos. I mean, look at, I had a logo that you could tattoo in yourself. I had this, this is the precursor on the right to the Crimson Omen, by the way. It's like Justin Bieber's being attacked by demons or something. I have no idea what it means. I think there's Comic Sans in there too. So I've even gotten better at lucid dreaming lately. For those of you that don't know, lucid dreaming